Welcome to the lesson Life Processes in Living Organisms, Science and Technology Part 2, and the unit we will be learning today is coordination. What is coordination? Okay, if you look at this small little video here, you will find the horse running, all four legs systematically moving, its neck down, its tail moving, and the person on top is holding the reins properly, sitting, moving up and down with the horse, everything going systematically. Okay, so when such things happen in living organisms, there is a systematic regulation of different processes, okay, in proper sequence. That is called control and coordination. A proper coordination between various systems of an organism, within the organism there are so many different systems like the digestive, circulatory, respiratory, nervous system, etc. Now when all these systems coordinate properly and maintain a state of equilibrium, that is called homeostasis, and this is necessary for the optimal efficiency of the body, means the uh, you know working of the body to its most efficient. If you see this picture here, if it is too hot, then we can see widening of blood vessels, sweating, hair lies flat, and body temperature gets back to normal. If it is too cold, then there is narrowing of blood vessels, shivering, hair stands up, and but the body is gone back to normal. So the systems of the body, they work in coordination to see that the body is at an equilibrium, normal temperature, normal pressure, everything. Now this equilibrium is called homeostasis. Now, proper coordination between internal activities resulting in factors like body temperature, the water level, enzyme level, etc. When all these are at an equilibrium, we say the body is in homeostasis. Coordination in plants. Plants do not have a nervous or a muscular system. Like animals, their movements are mainly in response to stimuli. That stimuli are certain things that come from the environment. Now, if you look at these pictures here, you will see the pollen grain from here growing a pollen tube, and that pollen tube growing towards the ovule. Whereas in the second picture, you will find that however, wherever you put the plant, it will always bend towards the sun. And the third one is, you look at this pea plant here, it has tendrils, these long things coming out, which hold on to, the grills, if you're growing them in your window, or any wooden piece, or, any structure, it holds on to it and starts growing. Okay. Now, when the plant moves towards light, you can see this plant here moving out of the window, then that movement is called phototropic movement or phototropism. Whereas when the roots of plants move towards the ground, towards gravity, and in the search of water, towards gravity is gravitropic movement or gravitropism, and towards water is hydrotropic movement or hydrotropism. There is another movement shown by plants in response to certain chemicals, and that movement is called chemotropism. Now, the movement or growth of any part of the plant in response to something external, a stimuli which is coming from outside, is called tropism. And here those stimuli would be sunlight, water, gravity, chemicals. Now, all these movements are growth relevant movements, meaning growing towards light. growing in search of water towards gravity, and growing towards chemicals. So all of them are related to growth. So these kind of movements are growth related or growth relevant movements. There are some growth irrelevant movements in plants which are not related to growth. Okay, such movements are called growth irrelevant movements. Now, as a response to changes in the surroundings, sometimes plant hormones bring around various movements in plants. Also, plant cells change their shape by increasing or decreasing their water content, and that also causes movement. But hormonal movements and changing the shape by increasing and decreasing the water content are not related to growth, hence they are called growth irrelevant movements. For example, the mimosa, you touch it, immediately the water content will be changing inside in the leaves, and you will see the leaf, it will, all that part, all the leaves over there will start closing. Now this is not related to growth, it is just related to changing the, increasing, decreasing the water content and movement due to that. Okay. We also have the Venus flytrap. You see those, those little thorny like structures. If any insect goes over there, it creates a sensation and the trap closes. Okay, because Venus flytrap is an insectivorous plant, so it it suspects that there is an insect there. It will close, trap the insect and use it as food. Now this is not related to growth, and hence it is a growth irrelevant movement. Then you have the lotus, it opens such a big flower, opening and closing, not related to growth, the movement. And then we have the balsam. If you look at that balsam pod over here, it bursts and releases the seeds from within. Again, not a growth relevant movement or a growth irrelevant movement. This video here, you will see 5 boys walking, talking. Okay, they are passing the ball. They are holding gloves. Some of them smiling, but all shaking their heads. So many movements, and they are all done without thinking. They are moving and doing so many things at one time. Okay. Now this is control and coordination in human beings. Okay, and that is done in 2 ways. One is by nervous control and the other is chemical control. Now, human beings respond to changes in their environment due to nervous control. There are certain impulses which are generated in the body because of the changes in the surroundings. Now, unicellular animals don't have a nervous system. Multicellular animals have a nervous system, and this nervous system responds to stimuli. Stimuli means anything affecting the person from the surroundings. It could be that it is too cold, it could be that some animal running towards you and you protect yourself from that. Any extra thing that happens in the environment is a stimuli, and multicellular animals have a nervous system to respond to stimuli. Now, in human beings, control and coordination is brought about by special cells called the nerve cells or neurons. Let us look at the structure of a neuron. Special cells which conduct impulses from place to place in the body are called neurons. So these are the transportation of impulses. They are responsible for transporting any impulse that we get from a stimuli from outside. These neurons quickly, suspect that there is some change taking place, and they will conduct them into impulses, and send it from one neuron to the other. Okay, now let us see what is the structure of this neuron. A neuron has a cell body with a nucleus in the center, and then it has finger-like structures all over. These finger-like structures are called the dendrites, and they are the ones, who get the impulse initially. Then we have the axon. So whenever the impulse comes, it comes from the dendrite to the nucleus, to the cell body, then to the axon, and finally moves to the axon terminal. Okay. Now, neurons are the structural and functional units of the nervous system. So the nervous system, the main part which gives the structure to the nervous system and the one that does all the work of the nervous system, is the neuron. Nerve cells or neurons. Neurons are also called nerve cells, are the largest cells in the human body and sometimes may measure a few meters in length. They generate and conduct electrochemical impulses. Now, there are cells that support these nerve cells, and those cells are called neuroglia. Both the neuroglia and the nerve cells together form the nerves. So there is a difference between nerves and nerve cells. A nerve cell is also called neuron. Okay. Now, all information about our surroundings is collected by the finger-like dendrites of the neuron. Then chemical processes begin and electrical impulses are generated, which are conducted to the cell body, the axon, and then finally the axon terminal. Okay. Now, the impulse that reaches the axon terminal, these little finger-like structures again, rounded finger-like structures, the axon terminal. Okay, when that impulse reaches from the dendrite to the axon terminal, it stimulates the nerve cell to secrete some little chemicals. Now, these chemicals pass through a small little space called synapse between two adjacent side-by-side neurons. Now, the stimulation of the chemicals in a minute space called synapse generates an impulse in the dendrites of the next neuron. Then that neuron will go, take your impulse and go right up to the axon terminal. There secrete chemicals in the synapse and it goes from one neuron to the next. So this impulse is transferred very, very quickly. By the time I've said it to you, the impulse has reached the brain and it's given me the report back again what is to be done. So that quick it takes place. Okay. In this manner, impulses are conveyed by nerve cells to the muscles or the glands. When an action is brought about in our body, the work of the muscles comes last. First, the dendrites, they will, find out that some change has taken place in the environment. They will send their signals right up to the brain or the spinal cord. Then the brain or the spinal cord gives the direction or the guidelines of what is to be done. That is brought back again to the muscles and then the muscles act last. Okay. Movement of muscles is needed to do any activity. So when the electric signals are brought down by the neuron, can you see here the muscle, it comes to the muscle. And then only when we are able to, either take out our hands or move away from there with the movement of muscles. When cells contract to change their shape, there is movement at the cellular level. So two movements, one is the cells can contract and there's a movement there, that is movement at cellular level. And when the muscles, they help us to move, that is movement at the muscle level. Now, muscle cells are able to change their shapes due to a special protein. So when the neurons, they take the message to the brain and the brain gives a message back, to the muscle that you have to move, you have to contract, you have to, show certain movements. Then Muscles are able to change their shape due to a special protein, and the same protein makes the cell able to respond to electrical impulses of nerves. Thus, the nervous system consists of a well-organized network of nerves which can conduct information in the form of electrical impulses from one part of the body to another. Okay, but there are different types of nerve cells or neurons. You see, any part of the body becomes aware of changes in the environment. That means you can imagine the number of nerve cells we have right through the body. Okay, and these nerve cells are of different types. First one is the sensory neuron. Okay, now these conduct impulses from any sense organ like the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, or the skin. From that organ to the brain and the spinal cord. So sensory neurons conduct impulses from sense organs to brain and spinal cord. Opposite is the motor neuron. Motor neuron conducts impulses which are taken by the sensory organs to the brain. Now the motor neuron takes those impulses from the brain or the spinal cord to the organs like the muscles or the glands. Okay, to help the muscle or the gland to move. Okay, to do the action that is required. And then we have association neurons which perform the function of integration, coming together of the nervous system. So that is how, because of the sensory, motor and association neuron, our nervous system works perfectly well. If you can see, the skin here is the sensory organ. You find the arrow going upwards, so the skin has felt something. So it is taken by this impulse is felt by the dendrites of the sensory neurons and taken towards the brain. Once it reaches the brain, then you can come to the other side where the motor neuron now senses from the brain, takes those impulses given by the brain, goes back to the muscle of that part, giving the instruction coming from the brain. So this is how well and coordinated is the work of the nervous system. Okay, so we will continue with the human nervous system in the next video in depth.